felt just love and joy for no reason. I'm like nervous to go into a meditation before I go to bed because I knew something profound was going to happen. Like it will go blue, like my eyes will flutter and it will go blue and I can see little speckles of blue. I saw like every dimension. I had this full-on sensory experience of like
Wow.
so many realms of life. I saw like dragons and like I saw heaven.
All of a sudden, I felt the energy go up. I was feeling like unconditional love like I've never felt before. I was
Mhm.
sobbing. I was sobbing and I was saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, over and
Yeah.
over. And there was a
Mhm.
lady there that I don't recognize in this life. And
Wow.
when she saw me and when I saw her, we both started crying so much because I had this feeling of we never thought we were going to see each other again. People watching how we know each other, or shall I?
Um, how about you? You start
Okay,
out.
okay. So, um, after I booked my place for the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat in Denver in July 2024, I was staying in a hotel that was not on site. That was about like 5 minutes away. So I was like looking. Wait, is that how that happened? That we were looking for a lift? Yeah, a shared lift. Yeah.
Wait, yeah,
You
how
didn't know you would have the car at that point. We thought we
right.
were going to have to take taxis. Yeah,
Right.
so I was looking for somebody to share taxis to get to what was the place called?
Um, what was that
Oh,
resort called?
Gaylord, that was it.
Taylor.
The
How,
Gaylord.
yeah, totally forgot.
Yeah. And then I think I posted in the Facebook page and you commented on it.
Think so.
Yeah. And
You didn't
then
reach out to me, right? Like I did I post something and you reached out to me? No?
I'm not sure. I feel like I posted something.
And I commented on it. I think that's probably
I
how.
think so. And then
Okay.
we added each other on WhatsApp. And then we
Yeah.
agreed that even though you were in a different hotel, it would be nearby, so it would make sense for us to go together because for anybody that doesn't know that's watching, the retreat starts really, really early in the morning.
Yes, it does.
Uh,
Mm.
and it was funny because after we agreed that, another lady reached out to me and I think she was going to be in a closer hotel and she was going to drive herself. So I was like, like logistically, this is probably going to be easier. But there was some, like, no offense to that lady. I'm sure she's a lovely, lovely person. But there was something about her messages that, like, from the energy I felt from you with our exchanges and the energy I felt from her, I was like, no, I'm going to stick with Mark. And then actually, we were talking about this the other day. Like, you can remember better when we actually met in real life. So, do you want to tell that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Um, so I get to the retreat the day that we register.
Mhm.
Um, and saw you when I was walking back to Zach and Jordan's room, and
It was
uh,
outside that little restaurant-y foodie place, right? Because I think
yes,
I'd met Lena and Keegan there.
yeah,
And
uh-huh.
then I was like, oh, that looks like Mark, the guy that I've been talking to.
Yeah, I think I just like I was like, "Hey, Simone," because I was kind of questioning if that was you, and I didn't want to be weird or anything. But I think
Yeah.
I like said, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, are you Simone?" or something like that. I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was super cool, and I didn't know that Keegan. I didn't know Keegan at the time.
Mm.
who were me and you are both very close with now, but I just didn't really talk to her at that point. But yeah, we met. I saw you like right before the event started, which was awesome, and so we were able to like chat
Hmm.
a little bit. Um, and yeah, that was the story is just amazing because we're gonna get into more of how we connected at the retreat, but definitely was a huge synchronicity for us to um, connect and to find each other through Facebook and through Joe Dispenza's work, you know. And you could have went with
Hmm.
that lady and taken Lyfts
Hmm.
or Ubers with her, but you decided to go with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. The
That's
domino
so
effect. And
mm,
even like the way that I met Keegan, shout out to Keegan, she's amazing.
such a
Woo!
cool person. Love her.
But even the way I met her was totally a synchronicity as well because she was in a group with Lena and they were outside that restaurant. I'd registered by myself and then I was like hungry, but I was also like, I don't really want to go back to my hotel now. I want to soak up this experience as much as I can. So there was a WhatsApp group where Lena and I had messaged a bit where I was like, "Oh my God, are you Scottish?" And then I just messaged in that like, "Hey, is anybody in this group around right now?" And I was literally 10 meters away from where Lena was sitting.
Oh, no way.
10 meters away. And
What?
then that's when I walked over and was introduced to Keegan and the other girls that were sitting there.
What? That's crazy.
I know the Gaylord is massive. Like, literally, we were like, I could wave and they would see me.
That is amazing. That's a huge synchronicity. Mm. I didn't know that. Yeah, because
Yeah,
Keegan,
yeah.
I was wondering where Keegan came from and how you guys met. So,
Yeah, so she was like with Lena, and there were two other women. One of them was called Bubs, and I can't remember the other lady. And then, yeah, the first day it was mostly me, Keegan, and Lena like walking around like so excited. And I wanted to buy these like marshmallow squares that were in the store, but they were really expensive. But we were
uh-huh.
like, you know what? Get the marshmallow squares. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Keegan's awesome. I'm just so glad we all met. I just thought of something randomly. We'll have to like start asking more questions, but this is a question for me. We met, or not really a question, but do you remember seeing you saw like rabbits, right? Or bunnies
Yeah, yeah,
so
because
many
that was like
times.
an inside joke later on. Yeah.
So
So it was, you go.
no, I just did you how many times did you see was it just like you saw them and then you kept seeing bunnies during the event?
Well,
The retreat?
like, what? There was like this whole inside joke about the bunnies. But
Okay.
basically, the first time that anybody saw bunnies, it was Lena and Keegan. They were outside on the grassy bit, and there were loads of bunnies there, and Lena was really excited about it. So when we all talked together, we were like, let's go see the bunnies. So we all went outside and saw the bunnies together. But they were running around like really like lots of them. Yeah. And then I feel like after that, like I don't know, it kind of spiraled into this inside joke of like, oh, because Lena was shaking a lot. She was like bouncing around, so it was like she literally
Yeah.
turned into a bunny.
She was bouncing like a bunny in her
She was
meditations, right?
bouncing around like
What
during
the
the first
heck?
meditation, so the
That's
bunny
so
theme just like spiraled.
that's so interesting. Well, because I remember seeing them there too, and I actually saw bunnies when I was in Orlando,
Oh,
which reminded me of
really?
Colorado, and I was like, "What? This is crazy." I maybe saw them like twice, but yeah, I was like, "Wow, this is awesome." It just yeah brought me back
Oh,
to
did you
Colorado.
like look up what bunnies mean?
No, I should have. Now I'm
You
curious.
should, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a meaning behind that. I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing the shirt um, from that retreat.
Oh, nice.
Awaken the divine within you, or awaken the divine.
Yeah,
What's the awaken the
that's
divine in you.
nice. Yeah,
Thanks.
I wear my one quite often.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
my little thing is here. Ta-da! My
Oh,
thing
nice.
and my little name
Yeah, that's a
badge.
great reminder. I don't know if you can see it, but I have mine just like hanging down there. But
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
you've got multiple. That's like next level. That's my goal in the future to have multiple.
you definitely will. Um,
Yes.
I definitely, I took a deep dive into the unknown doing that. Um, but anyways, that's cool that you saved that because it's like you don't want to forget and it helps you remember, you know. It's
Yeah.
like it's really like a trophy, you know.
Hmm.
You made it through the meditations, you made it through waking up early, and then you became a whole new person and remembered who you truly are. So it's very valuable to hold on to things that make you remember, you know. So
Totally. And for me, like for a while, like going to a Joe Dispenza retreat was like, that's not gonna happen. Like
right.
at the beginning of this year, I was at a women's circle and we were like, let's write down like what we want in this year. And I put down going to a Joe Dispenza retreat and I like we were laughing about it. I was like, ha ha ha, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
So
it
you did that
did.
last year? Like you wrote it down?
No, at the beginning of this year. So
Oh,
I wanted it for this year.
like
But I put
2024.
it down very like, whoa, that's so out there. That's never gonna happen, especially not this year.
And it totally did. Was it like a vision board that you were creating or just like
It was just like it was a women's circle, and I
okay.
think because it was at the beginning of the year, we were very much like talking about like what goals do we have, what do we want to happen during this year. So I remember the feeling of writing it down and being like, oh, that's really ballsy of me to write that down because there's no way that's gonna happen.
And it totally
But
did.
past Simone didn't know.
I mean, that is actually so amazing. Wow. Like that's a huge deal because you flew from Vietnam
Hmm. Hmm.
to Colorado in the United States. Like that's you were the only person from Vietnam, right?
I know. And like, oh my
So
God, it's
cool.
so like out of character for me to do that. Like I talk about that in my YouTube video. Like it was so out of character for me. Like I didn't tell my friends or family about it for a long time because I knew they'd be like, why the fuck are you flying from Vietnam to America and back and you're not even like, you know, just for a retreat? Like I knew they wouldn't understand, so I gave myself some time to be like really sure of my decision before I
Yeah.
shared it to other people.
I I know that I mean, I know that the universe and our stories brought us together for sure because I wasn't gonna go to that retreat. Like I was on the wait
Hmm.
list.
Oh,
And
oh,
yeah, I
really?
decided to go like 2 weeks before,
Oh
pretty
my
much,
God.
because Zach and Jordan, they told me like, you know, a few months before that they were going. And at that time, I had my breakup and I wasn't even thinking of that at all.
Mm.
I had my first retreat and I was like, that's all I need, you know? So yeah, I wasn't even planning on going till like 2 weeks prior. And they don't always choose, you don't always get chosen to go to be on the to get a ticket from the wait list either. So
Hmm.
meeting is very rare, you know, and
Hmm.
so the biggest synchronicity for sure. And I'm just super grateful for you and um, for Keegan. I'm just so glad we're so close when we like Zoom and we chat and keep up with each other and make sure we're doing the work, you know. So um,
Yeah, that would have been so devastating for me if, because I'm so physically far away from a lot of the Dr. Joe community, to if we hadn't have kept up those relationships, it would have been absolutely devastating. Like even right after the retreat, when everybody was going back to their normal lives, I feel like it was particularly really difficult for me because I was literally like, well, flying into the future, first of all, because of the time difference,
For sure.
but
Yeah.
also like to go from like all these like close connections and finally feeling like, oh my God, this is what life is about. Like these are the kind of friendships that I want. Like, we're all awakening and we all just want the best for each other and we understand each other.
Mhm.
Like if I didn't have like so it really means a lot to me that we are all still in touch because to go from that, like it would almost even make me be like, did that even happen if
Yeah.
I didn't have these connections still? I mean, obviously, I'm still doing Dr. Joe's work regularly, but yeah, yeah, so it's really meaningful for me.
Yeah, I'm glad. It's very meaningful for me too, but it is crazy that because that last day with all of us together and how we were on, we were full of ecstasy and we were just tripping and feeling amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That was, I'll never forget that. But going from that and then having to fly, what is like 15
Mm.
hours to Vietnam or something?
Oh my God, it was longer than that.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's like 24 hours. It was like I've traveled a lot, but that was the hardest travel journey I've ever done.
Wow.
But like emotionally as well, and you're
Yeah,
tired after the retreat, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't want this to end. I don't want to leave. And
right.
then Vietnam in general is a very like, like
Mm,
it's a culture shock. Like even
gotcha.
when you live there for a long time, to go from a Western country back, you're just like, "Ugh." So
Yeah, I bet.
yeah, it was really tough, man.
Wow. I'm so glad that we all connected though, and that we still can talk and we haven't lost that because that would have been harder for sure. I can't even
Yeah,
imagine. Because yeah, all of us that you met live in the US,
yeah.
and so that's just like, yeah,
My heart is like in the US right now.
yeah, it is for sure. I really think at some point it's a possibility, even if it's not the US and maybe like, you know, Europe or something.
Hmm.
You never know, anything's possible. I mean, us connecting, that's a good example, that meeting that way is, yeah, like I said, just a really big synchronicity in my life. And I'm just super grateful for you.
Hmm.
So, um, but
I've
yeah,
got a question for you if you
yes,
don't mind.
please. Just gonna
So,
ask.
yeah, like we both know like what was so significant about that last day, the feeling of that last day. Have you had that at another retreat since?
Oh yeah, I have. That makes me want to think about this though, because so my first retreat and in Cancun, I definitely had that ecstasy feeling. It was different though because I've never felt it before. And
Mm.
I was also feeling like I was kind of on, a psychedelic in general. I felt just love and joy for no reason and like everything was enhanced. Like I remember sitting on the beach, and it was like after one of the meditations, maybe like one of the last ones, and I just heard the birds. I'm getting like my heart is opening just by talking about it, but I heard these beautiful seagulls and like different birds just like chirping and talking, and it was so enhanced. And I felt so much love for nature and Gaia, Earth. And so that was the beginning of what didn't know what that was because that was my awakening at that retreat. I had, my full-on awakening there.
Hmm.
So I had that happen. And then obviously Colorado,
Hmm.
um, that last day that you're talking about, I kind of understood it a little bit more, but not fully. Um, and that was amazing. Like I didn't, in the moment I wasn't thinking about it, but I guess as the day went on and we like hung out all day, like all of us outside, I was like, okay, we're like super full of love and like our hearts were just so open and that was awesome.
Hmm.
So anyways, going to the question now. Yes, I have felt those at retreats, and then I'm thinking about Nashville, which was after Colorado, and I'm trying to think how that last day was for me because of having my experiences with those beings in the coherence meditations. I don't even know if I was tapped into that as much at that retreat, to be honest. Yeah, well, that's true and not true because what happened in Nashville is like I had that experience. It was the last day, and I had another experience with the beings. It was like my second, it was the third coherence healing, and it was my second time experiencing them in the meditation. And so
Hmm.
I, that's when I went back to my hotel and I was like, I need to like record this and put it out because that's like what I was being channeled and told to do. And so I was feeling amazing, obviously, and I feel like it was like a form of ecstasy, but I was like, I'm like nervous to go into a meditation before I go to bed because I knew something profound was going to happen. Like I felt it in my body. I was like,
Mm.
I know that, from the pineal gland meditation and a couple of others that we get to see the kaleidoscope and the DNA of DMT and how it looks. And I knew I was like, I'm gonna trip on this meditation because I felt this from every retreat. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I like sat down in my meditation and just like a short story, I saw like every dimension. I had this full-on sensory experience of like
Wow.
so many realms of life. I saw like dragons and like I saw heaven. I saw a certain realm of heaven, and I saw like um, Atlantis at the beginning of the trip that I had.
Hmm.
Anyways, it was super profound, and that was like a form of like ecstasy, and I think like DMT
Mm.
being released. It was it was amazing. I actually had to take off my blindfolds and stop the meditation because I was like, this is too much. I felt I was just like so out of my body, but so that
What about it felt too much? Was it like physically or like the amount of information or
It's hard to explain. I've actually never felt that before, and so it was like very, I was becoming, it felt like I was really becoming more, as Joe says, that I was becoming more wave and less particle. I was becoming more energy and less matter. Like I was becoming less of my body, and I could really
Mm.
feel that feeling. And it was spooky. It was a very much like it was like a slow out of body experience that like unfolded to be like really out of my body through that meditation I was doing. So it felt out of body, and plus I was seeing so many beautiful things and things I've never seen before,
Mm.
and realms that I was like, what is this? This is amazing. So it was more of the feeling I was feeling in my body. I was like, this is spooky. Like
Mm.
it was like I closed the door and I had to just like stop meditating because it was that intense, you know.
Mm.
I wouldn't say it was like bad though. It just was I it was something I have forgotten, you know. I know those realms are there. I just being in this body, we forget who we are, right? And so I had to
Mm.
experience that to get over that feeling. So yeah, it was more of an out of body experience, but thanks for asking that question because that's a good question. So yeah, I'll finish up. So yeah, I guess it was that retreat was more like DMT and a little bit of Molly, but I was so
Mm.
focused on those beings and connecting
Yeah.
to that vibration, you know. So,
Mhm.
um, but in in Orlando, I felt it for sure. Um, I remember it was the last day too, and I went outside in that they had like a same grassy area at all these
Hmm.
gaylords. Well, not at all of them, but at this one they had the same like
Hmm.
patch that we had in Colorado. So me and Keegan was out there, Kevin was out there, and some other people, and like it was literally the same experience. I was like just talking away. We were having all these conversations about what we experienced, and our
Hmm.
hearts were just like flooded with, oxytocin, I think is what it's oxytocin. Yeah. So yeah, I have felt it probably a couple of times, maybe more, and I didn't realize it from that Colorado retreat. So yeah, I've definitely felt it, which is so
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like I said to you, like I feel like I'm on drugs right now. This is so crazy.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember you just like feeling that and experiencing that. It was
Yeah.
so cool to watch. But I also was like, oh, I forgot that this happens and I didn't really understand it. And
Mm.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Okay, so yeah,
But
so that's question. Well, it's two questions. I'm gonna ask them both now, like just so that I remember.
yeah.
But yeah, and also just want to like bring attention to the fact that it can be really difficult to explain these things in human words. But yeah, if you can just like try your best. Um, yeah. What what do you mean when you say like that you were out of body? Like, could you feel your energy in a different place, or was it like that you were so in the present moment that you forgot that Mark existed? That's
Mm.
question one. Sorry. And then
Okay.
question two is like, so I've had one mystical experience that was like next level, like compared to all my other mystical experiences. And for me, that one was more real than the life here. And I felt like it was as clear as I was seeing you right now, that I was seeing my room right now. When you were seeing the visuals, was it like that? Or was it more like, because I've also had meditations where I've seen things, my eyes are closed and I see things, but it's almost like I'm seeing things not with my eyes. It's more like a knowing that those things are there.
I see. I see. I see exactly what you're saying. Wow, that's tough because I think maybe we all experience it differently in ways, and maybe we experience it the same way in ways.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're all from the same but wow. Okay, so to answer your first question, it's more out of body feeling,
Mm.
for sure. What was the other? You said, is it more out of body or more?
Or more like, you know, when you are like so focused and so present on something that you forget your identity as this person, it almost could be out of body, but it's not because you can't remember, you have no awareness that you exist as this person.
Right.
So yeah, do you know what I
Okay.
mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, so it's definitely more out of body. It's not like because I'd been in these meditations and had these out of body experiences, and it's not like I'm sitting there without any thoughts because I do have thoughts still a little bit while I'm experiencing this out of body experience,
Hmm.
um, which is interesting. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean um, like, I'm trying to think of a good example recently. Like when I was in Nashville, not for the retreat, I was in Nashville for like work, and it was after the Nashville retreat, which is funny. I went back to Nashville. Um, but while I was there, I was in my hotel room and was like, okay, I'm gonna pop into a meditation before I go to bed. And I don't know what it was, but like I knew that the meditation was going to be kind of interesting. I can kind of like
Hmm.
feel it before because I think it's because I feel less matter during my days these days.
Hmm.
Because when
Hmm.
you tap into and you meditate a lot, you become less of your body. You become more vibration. You start to feel it, and as you know, at the retreats, you can feel it in your fingertips, the energy of what you really are. So I feel that occasionally during my days now, and I know that it's like I'm accessing either it's like these beings or it's just more of who I am. But sometimes I think it's a mix of both. I think it's like these beings in other realms are like helping me. And also I feel like it's my higher self too and what I really am. But so anyways, prior to this meditation in Tennessee of a really interesting experience, I was feeling that and I was like, okay, I feel already something's gonna happen. And that's how I felt during those coherence healings too. It's like I felt it in my body. It was like excited and like it was the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling, you know?
Can I say something? Can I interject with a very short thing?
Please.
Before I had my mystical experience, I also knew that something was going to happen.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's a knowing, right?
Yeah.
It's like an energy thing. It's like a te telepathy feeling. That's amazing that you felt that too.
Yeah.
It must be a common thing, of what, and especially if you meditate and becoming more of who you really are. It's like I just said this, but it's literally the most familiar feeling that you
Yes.
feel.
Yeah. It's
That's
so
so cool that you felt
crazy.
that too. That gives me validation that it's like I knew I wasn't alone feeling that, but this is what these conversations,
Yeah.
it's gonna bring up stuff like this, which is awesome. So that's cool. Hell yeah. Um, I'm so glad you told me that. But yeah, going into that meditation in Tennessee, I was like, okay, something's gonna happen. And
Hmm.
I'm still learning so much because this has only been a year or so of me starting to have these experiences that are super mystical in my meditations. But so yeah, I'm still very new. And so at the time I was really new to the feeling of these beings and being more, wave and less particle. And so yeah, in that meditation there, I instantly like what happens recently, and I'm getting used to it a little bit more to kind of give like a background of these out of body experiences. And I'm there's so much to talk about, but like I can't decide sometimes if I think it's me connecting to these beings, but I also question lately. I'm like, is this just really me? Is this really just who I am? Am I just a five-dimensional being? Is it me that's creating this feeling, moving my hands? Is it me just becoming more magical and like
Hmm.
powerful? I think it
Hmm.
might be a mixture of both, but I don't know. Like I'm just so new to
Hmm.
this. And yeah, so I just thought about that because I've been questioning this in my meditations recently. I'm like, is it me? Is it really who I am? Or is it these beings that are accessing me? Or is it a mixture of both? So I don't know what that's about. I'm still learning, but I just brought that up because I thought about it. But in this meditation, what happens, why I brought that up is what happens in me to know that I'm accessing these beings a lot is my vision, like my eyes are closed. I'm wearing the blindfold and it will go blue. Like my eyes will flutter and it will go blue and I can see little speckles of blue and I'm like, okay,
Oh, your eyes flutter.
they flutter. And it's because it's
Oh.
like I'm accessing,
Hmm.
I don't know, it's like a form of getting synced up. of downloading with them and connecting with my pineal gland and the
Hmm.
frequency that they're at or something like that, the vibration. I'm like I said, I'm still learning. This is what I think I'm getting downloads from. But
Hmm.
so yeah, it go that happens and I'm like, okay, and it starts to become I can feel it through my body too. Like my body becomes lighter. It,
Hmm.
I feel more spirit. I feel less human.
Hmm.
It's a sensation. And so I feel that, and also while this is happening with the blue speckles and purple speckles, when I really know that I'm being accessed now is, or we're experiencing these beings or becoming more of who I am, it like my it's like black, but then also becomes more like light and blue, and then all of a sudden like this black goo, if you want to call it, black like um almost like octopus tentacles like start going over the light and it like fills up and it's for a while I didn't know what that was because I was experiencing that a couple months prior to Tennessee.
Hmm.
But anyway, so I know that now that's them. It's that's how they because it also becomes more of a body feeling, and I can feel them like it's almost like a loss of breath, or like I can hear it in my headphones, like Joe when Joe's like doing his meditation, it like cuts in and out, like the frequency
Hmm.
shifts, and like
Hmm.
his voice will get more high pitched or lower pitched, or it will like slow
Whoa.
down, and I'm like, this is, but I'm getting used to it, so it's not as spooky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm learning more about this, and I bring this up just to explain what I felt in this meditation in Tennessee. So I was feeling that there, and I was kind of unfamiliar with it, and so I was like, okay, this is kind of spooky. And then out of nowhere, I'm just like sucked into a blue tunnel. Like just like
Okay.
I'm sure you might have seen this too. You go through a tunnel, you go through this tunnel and you're just like on this fun little trip.
Hmm.
And I was like okay with that because I felt that a little bit before with my meditations with
Hmm.
five-dimensional um experiences. But it was interesting because as I'm in that tunnel, I like start going it felt like I was going and looked like I was going underneath into water. And then after that, I started going into like blue. I felt like I was on their planet or Atlantean vibe planet. It was just all blue and like it's hard to describe because it's so fast, right?
Hmm.
But I started sensing them more, like these beings. I felt like I was starting to see more like figures instead of just like blue orbs or blue light. It was more like turning into figures and like I started to feel way out of my body. Like I was starting, this is what happens sometimes is I can start to see with my eyes open, I see that realm still. I see
Whoa.
five-dimensional, yeah. And this happens. I've actually talked to a couple people that experience this, but like your eyes are open, but you're still there. Your eyes aren't
Whoa.
closed. So that started happening and I was like, oh crap. And I was more like out of my body too. And I was like, oh my God, like this is too much right now. And so I stopped the meditation again and I was like, I was still in the I still was seeing things though. And I took my blindfolds off and I was like, I saw like energy. I saw like things moving in the air. Like it
In
was like
your room now, or are you still kind of seeing things in
no, I was in
Atlantis?
my host. I was no. I was not in Atlantis. I was in my room. I was in my
Right.
room, and
Hmm.
but I was seeing and feeling them. I can feel them still.
Hmm.
I f- like it. It's hard to explain, but I feel their energy, and like I could see energy moving
Mm.
in the hotel room. And
What
it
did it
was,
look like, the energy moving? Can you describe it?
if you look at like a TV static on like a
Oh,
TV, an old TV, it's literally
yeah.
like that. Like it's not gray, but it's like white. And it's literally like you're seeing energy. And it's really, yeah, basically like static, like TV static. Um,
I think
and
maybe I've seen that before a little bit, not a lot.
sure,
Yeah.
uh, I think it's really, like I said, the more you become less your body and more waves, you can experience it more and have
Yeah.
experiences without your eyes closed. So anyways,
Mm.
that was a crazy experience. I wish I could explain it better, but it was, a couple months ago, and also it's so
Yeah,
fast
human
when it
words
happens.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know what then there was a second part of the question that you had.
Oh, yeah, it was about like seeing it, like how clear is it?
How clear is the
So
visuals? Okay.
so for example, when you felt like you were on their planet, is it like with the clarity that you can see your room around you right now? Or yeah, can you describe, obviously as well, I know this was is probably really difficult to describe.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Um, hmm. Not necessarily as clear as I can see my room. No. It's like it's really true what Joe says. When you activate your pineal gland, it becomes a radio receiver and you start seeing like pictures and like your
Mm,
TV channels.
hmm
And so it's not very clear sometimes. I have maybe had a couple experiences where it gets more HD or 4K, and it's kind of like, whoa, I really feel like I'm there, but it's very small and it's so
mm,
fast.
hmm hmm
So I think it's like it's a practice to tune in
hmm
and get to that point where you can see it fully. And I
mm,
still haven't fully been able to get there all the time. I don't know when I will, to be honest. I don't know if it's like you have to keep practicing, keep doing the breath work. But yeah, I would say that it's not like a full clear screen or full clear resolution. It's kind of like you're there, but you're not feeling.
hmm
But when you feel those sensations with your body too, and you're seeing these visuals that you've never seen before, you're like, where is that coming from? Like, it's not
Yeah,
just coming from your brain. It's
no.
coming from the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really been able to see it like full on. It's like just like half there and half
Mm,
3D.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks
Yeah.
for explaining.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, there's a lot to that. That was a great question. It helped me like
I'm
think
just like,
about
I'm
it.
trying to think like for people who've never experienced something like that before.
That
And
was a great question.
I haven't experienced it in the way that you have, but I have had one like undeniable mystical experience.
Yes, talk about that. Talk about your
Oh my God.
undeniable mystical experience. Want to hear.
So for me, it's so hard to explain. Um, because for me, like, and it's weird because obviously, like, when you have a memory of something, apparently, like, we totally change our memories as well. So, that my
Sure.
mystical experience was at the beginning of this year, and I don't know if because now I would say to you, it was as clear as day. Like, it was as clear as like me seeing my room now, but I don't know if if like the intensity of it made it feel like it was as clear as my room now. Do you know what I mean? But so there were a lot of elements in my mystical experience, but I'll try and like keep it short and sweet. Um,
Yeah.
so Actually, this is so crazy. It was the second day that I had ever done a Dr. Joe meditation that was like long. So in 2021 or yeah, I read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and in that you've got like a 1 month of meditations, and then at the final week it's almost an hour long. Um that was my only really experience. And then after that, 3D Simone was like, oh no, I don't have time for a 1 hour meditation. So I kind of like stopped doing that for a bit. And then at the beginning of this year, I was like going through intense insomnia, anxiety. So the day that I had my mystical experience, I had went 3 nights without sleeping at all. And I was like, my
Oh,
nervous system was like crazy, like
whoa.
I was crazy, crazy anxious. And actually, like in hindsight, I've thought that maybe that's part of the reason why I had a mystical experience because, Dr. Joe says melatonin helps you to have that. Well, imagine how
Mm,
much melatonin my body was producing because it was my mind that was stopping me from sleeping. My body wanted to sleep, but it was like my dysregulated nervous system that was stopping me. So I
wow.
think that it's so crazy, like when I look back, that everything is connected and everything happened for a reason. So I was
Right.
super sleep deprived. I was like, I'm desperate. I want to do anything to get out of this situation. I'm going to start doing these meditations every single night. And I decided pineal gland was the one for me because, like, as a visual person, I already feel like my art ideas like come to me not from within me, but like from something else.
For sure.
Um, and have you seen Interstellar?
Yeah, I actually saw it a few weeks ago because it came out in theaters again. Yes.
So it's like my favorite movie. And I think like, oh, there's so many things that are amazing about that movie. Like the music, the it's like sad, it's beautiful, it's funny, it's everything.
Right.
Um, but there's something about it that just feels like the truth to me. Like the way that the dad like goes through dimensions to communicate with his daughter.
Right.
So I just watched that movie that night as well.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Oh,
and
man.
you know how I was saying before, like I knew I was going to have a mystical experience before I had it. I
Yeah.
cannot explain this in any way other than that night I felt, and I was hallucinating because I was so sleep deprived as well. I looked at my ceiling and the ceiling was swirling around. And
Wow. Okay.
I had this feeling that some beings in my room were waiting for me to meditate. I don't know how to
Wow.
explain how I knew that, but like I just had this feeling they're waiting for me to sit down and do this meditation.
That's real. That's real. That's real.
I don't know if it's just because I watched Interstellar and oh, and another thing was
Oh, that makes sense.
there's a quote like in one of Dr. Joe's books or an experiment where something that happened in the future affected the past. I can't remember the experiment. It's
I
something to do with
know.
like this, they're sick and they do a random experiment and the people, it's kind of difficult to explain, but
I think it's in the
I,
placebo or something, right? I swear I like recently read one like that. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But w whatever it was, it just it felt unfamiliarly familiar. And I was like,
Right.
I don't know why, but I feel like this is the truth, that time is not linear. So I was like, and I'm talking about all these little things because I think that they all contributed to the fact that I had this mystical experience.
For sure.
Um, so yeah, I was feeling like time's not linear. Whoa, these beings are waiting for me to start meditating. And then I started the meditation with the breath work. And this was like 1 year ago now, so it's going to be really difficult to explain. But all of a sudden, I felt the energy go up. And then all of a sudden, I was feeling like unconditional love like I've never felt before. I was
Okay.
sobbing. I was sobbing and I was saying, thank you, thank you, thank you over and
Yeah.
over again.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was in this place in nature that felt like it was in South America. I don't know, it just felt
Okay.
like it was in South America. And
Yeah.
the way that I was seeing it was weird as well. I feel like I wasn't out of body, but that all my energy was here.
Okay. Hmm.
Like above, still kind of attached to my body, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, and then I could see this scene in South America that was like valleys and tears on mountains, but the way that I was seeing it was almost like I was watching a screen that was rounded. I don't know how else to
Whoa.
describe that
Okay.
either.
Uh-huh.
And there was a
Hmm.
lady there that I don't recognize in this life. And
Wow.
when she saw me and when I saw her, we both started crying so much because I had this feeling of we never thought we were going to see each other again.
Whoa, that's kind of like familiar to Joe's story that he talks about where he sees like a lady. He like talks about the timepiece of the pineal gland and sees that beautiful like small magical
Oh, yeah,
lady
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he gets hit with like all this love and is like there's
Yeah,
always more love is what she
yeah.
said to him. Anyways, I was like, whoa, that kind of reminded me of that.
So there, I don't know how long this went on for, but I was just crying. It was just this feeling of like I never thought I was going to see you again, and I could
Wow.
tell that she felt the same way, whoever she
Wow.
was.
Mm-hmm.
So that just crying for ages, just being so grateful to see this lady again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, like the scene changed, and I was like in the blackness. And I remember thinking, you're in another dimension right now. And I just like knew that I was in another dimension. This whole time, I'm still feeling like unconditional love, like I've never felt before. And you know Eckhart Tolle, who
Yeah.
wrote The Power of Now?
Uh-huh. For
Well,
sure.
human Simone thought, oh my God, like this place is so full of unconditional love. I bet Eckhart Tolle is here. And as soon as I thought that, he appeared and he laughed at me thinking that. He was like, ah, of course I'm
Mm.
here.
What? That's crazy. Oh my God. You just thought about it and he popped up?
He literally, like, I was like, bet Eckhart's here. Boom.
Whoa, that is very mystical. Wow.
And like it's just totally his sense of humor. Like, but to be like, yeah, I am here.
Hmm. Dang.
And
Wow.
there's more. And then
Oh my
after
God.
that, I just the feeling of unconditional love was like so powerful that I felt like this insane need to share it with people. Then my dad appeared and I like gave him this feeling and I could see him feel this feeling and be like, oh my God, what is this? Then my
Wow.
siblings one by one appeared and I gave them each this feeling and they were like, oh my God, what is this?
Whoa.
And because when you are whole, when you are loved, the only thing you want to do when you're so abundant is to give, give that,
Hmm.
give that to give, yeah, to give,
Right.
like nature, like the sun. It's
Right.
so whole, it just wants to give. And so after that, it like changed and my family disappeared. And then I just had this like laughable feeling that we think that we can't have certain things in our lives. Like it was laughable. It was almost like I could laugh out loud that one of my 3D stories is that I'm never going to be financially abundant. So in this dimension, I saw like money fly into me, and the feeling was just like, you're so silly. Like, how you're
Wow.
so silly for thinking that
Yeah.
there are certain things that you can't have.
Yeah. Wow. Whoa.
And then after that, I saw maybe I saw a man that I loved, so maybe my future partner, I don't know.
Sure.
But
Wow.
more than that was I saw a little girl, and I was like, is this my past me? Is this little Simone? But she had like the same blonde hair and blue eyes as me, but her face looked different. And then when I saw her, I was like full of so much love, and I just knew
Wow.
that that was my daughter.
Whoa, th this is crazy. It's like you really had an experience that Joe talked about. Like the timepiece of the pineal gland of how it's the future and the past and how you felt so much love for these beings and maybe your future daughter. That's wow. Wow, that's
And
so
and
cool.
so after that, like I remember thinking like Joe says like go back to your body, and I remember thinking how? I couldn't feel
Mhm.
my legs. I was like, how? And then
Wow.
I'll just like make this like really quick. I had like an afterglow the whole next day
Uh-huh.
where I could hear the voice in my head, and and I wasn't that. And I was like, oh my God, that voice is so annoying. Like, why is it going on and on and on? Why is it saying, I like this, I don't like this?
Mhm.
You know what you like. Who are you talking to?
Mhm.
So, like, the next day, I even had an afterglow from that experience.
Wow.
But yeah, after that, I was like, right, I am all in with Joe's work. I literally went to
Wow.
another dimension.
That's powerful. I've never heard a story like that, to be honest. Like the timepiece of the future and the past of the pineal gland. Like I've maybe had a couple of visuals like that, but not that full of that long of a experience. Um,
Hmm.
that's super powerful. I actually didn't really know that story either. I think you maybe told
Yeah.
me bits and pieces of it, but that's really profound though. I'm jealous. That's a cool experience.
It was crazy. I was like, my life is has changed forever after seeing that.
Yeah, and you were doing the pineal gland meditation, right?
Yeah, and
Mm.
actually it was on YouTube, so it wasn't even Joe's official one.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That makes me want to like do a pineal gland meditation now to like there was one
Yeah.
meditation that I experienced where I could see the time. Literally saw a clock. And I was like,
Hmm.
no way, this is happening. And then it went away. I was like, damn it.
Oh,
Yeah, because I was
yeah,
like, this is
probably
what.
because you had that thought.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm experiencing what Joe did. But then it went
Yeah.
away. But you can't do that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
see, I think part of the reason I had that experience was it was my second day doing a meditation. I had no idea that something like that could happen.
I can't
And
believe it
I
was
was
only the
so
second day.
exhausted from like sleep deprivation that I also was in a total state of surrender because I was just like, I don't give a fuck anymore, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. I think that was a part of your story of awakening, right? Like
Yes.
you'd experienced that and then you were like, I'm into Joe's work, like this is the key to accessing who I really am. And you went on a meditation, you went to his meditation retreat in Colorado. So it's like definitely a part of your story and where you are now. And I'm just so excited to see like what happens in a year, right?
I
For us.
know.
Like this is gonna be so awesome to keep talking and just updating each other and asking questions of where we're at. Because I think a lot of people really need this and they need to know that
Mhm.
anyone can meditate. Doesn't matter how old or how sick you are. We're all divine beings and it's just taking the time to sit with your body, you know.
But if we do, if people who don't know about his work see this, I think maybe it might be important to say that, like, we need to be open-minded because,
Yeah.
like me 2 years ago, if I heard me talking now, I'd be like, she's absolutely fucking nuts.
Oh my God. Oh my
Do you know
God.
what I mean?
Same. Same. Oh my God. You're so right. I I didn't believe in aliens or, you know, other beings a year ago. Like,
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
so you're
One
totally
year
right.
ago, yeah.
That's insane. We are both like on a very similar path. I really do. I want to keep doing this because, yeah, you have to have an open mind, you know, and that feeling that you feel of like there's got to be more, that's what that
Hmm.
is. There is more,
Yes.
and you just have to, you know, step into the unknown and like try new things because that's when you'll experience new things. So.